I do not believe that this president or any president has the ability, without congressional approval, to initiate military action in Iraq or anywhere else, except in the case of an emergency posing an imminent threat to the U.S. or its citizens. And I also assert that the current crisis in Iraq, while serious and posing the possibility of a long-term threat to the United States, is not the kind of conflict where the president can or should act unilaterally. If the United States is to contemplate military action in Iraq, the president must seek congressional authorization. First, the requirement for congressional approval ensures that American troops will not be sent into combat without a clear political consensus that the mission is worthwhile. It would be the height of public immorality to order service members to risk their lives when the nation's political leadership has not done the work to reach a consensus about the value of a mission. Secondly, the requirement of congressional approval to initiate war also guarantees that there will be a public process of debate and voting by which the citizenry can also become educated about what's at stake and whether America should take the grave step of authorizing war to protect the national interest. The president should come to Congress if military action is contemplated in Iraq, and he has an excellent opportunity before him to initiate that discussion right now. All know that the 2001 authorization, passed in the days after 9/11 to enable us to go after the attack's perpetrators, is badly in need of an update after 13 years. Despite its facial language only allowing military action against those complicit in the 9/11 attacks, it has been broadly interpreted to authorize a global war against al-Qaeda or associated forces so long as they pose a threat to the United States or any of its dozens of, quote, coalition partners. That AUMF 13 years later has no geographic limitation. It has no expiration date. Members of the administration have testified in Senate hearings that they expect that the war declared in that AUMF may go on for the next 25 or 30 years. I have no doubt, I wasn't here in 2001, but I have no doubt that the members of Congress who voted for that authorization never would have contemplated war lasting into the 2030s or 2040s. And the American public has never expressed support for such a notion of perpetual war. In a speech in May of 2013 to the National Defense University, President Obama recognized that the administration and Congress have to work together to examine and update the 2001 AUMF in order to narrow its scope, clarify what it allows, and make it suitable for the new challenges that are before us. I've heard many of my colleagues in this body say exactly the same thing. But, Madam President, there has been no progress on this necessary update. The administration has made no proposal. So as I conclude, I encourage all of us, Congress and the administration, let's embark on the work of updating the 2001 authorization to reflect the current dimensions of our security challenges. The administration should send to Congress a proposal for a revised and narrowed authorization that specifies how the United States should seek to counter threats posed by groups like ISIL. There will be a role for the military, and there will be a role for counterterrorism activities carried out by our intelligence agencies. There will be a role for diplomacy, and there will also be a role for development assistance to eliminate the conditions of desperation that so often breed fanaticism. But it is time for those roles to be clearly described so that they can be publicly debated and ultimately adopted by Congress.